Hi guys, good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I'll be doing my spoiler-filled film review for Solo, a Star Wars story. I just saw it a short while ago on the IMAX screen. Fun movie, very fun movie. We got a lot to talk about. But before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned, as usual with all of my movie reviews, this is a spoiler-filled film review. Again, this is a spoiler-filled review, and I'm going to be touching on a lot of the big plot details and spoilers, especially one particular scene. And for those of you who have seen the movie, I think you know which moment I'm referring to. And it's sorry, but tired. And just be warned, this video is full of spoilers, so you have been warned. That being said, spoilers from here on out starting now. Fun movie. Very fun movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This was no Rogue One, but this was still just as fun and pretty damn near exciting. You know what? It wasn't a perfect movie, but then again, no movie is perfect. I had some issues with the pacing originally, like in the very beginning, the pacing I felt was a little off. But as the story progressed and we met more and more characters, the more interesting it became and the more exciting it became. So, you know, I was able to get on board with it rather quickly. I mean, there were some great characters in it, and this movie also threw a lot of surprises at us. You know, like in the trailers, we see Thandie Newton's character Val doing a lot of shit, and then she dies within like the opening act, along with John Favreau's character, the multi-armed alien Rio Durant, I think his name is. Both of them died during the heist. And, you know, it's like, wow, so it's just Beckett, Chewie, and Han. But then I figured, oh, well, they probably want to put a lot of emphasis on the relationship between Han, Chewie, Han and Beckett, and, of course, Han and Kira. And, you know, that made a lot of sense. But, you know, this movie pulled some surprises on us. Granted, there were a few predictable moments here and there, like towards the end when Beckett was revealed to be the one who was like Dryden Voss's associate or who sold out Han. That wasn't too surprising, but what I did think was pretty cool was that Han was able to double-cross the double-crosser, and that he is just as good as he says he is. Another huge highlight was Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. Mwah! Donald Glover, we love you. Don't ever change. No, he did a fantastic job as Lando Calrissian. He was a real treat to watch. He certainly had just brought so much life and charisma to the screen. Whenever he spoke, whenever we saw him, whatever outfit he was wearing, he was great. I loved him as Lando. You know, that was another thing that surprised me. I was expecting like maybe an epic rescue moment where Lando unexpectedly returns to save Han and Chewie's life with the Millennium Falcon, but instead we don't see him until the final scene when Han does indeed win the Falcon back from him. And I am very, very, very glad that they stuck to that, because as you all may recall from the Empire Strikes Back, Han has a line that says, "Hey, don't forget you lost her to me fair and square," meaning Lando lost the ship to him in a bet. And sure enough, they lived up to that scene. There's a scene in the movie, the final scene, where Han is able to finally beat Lando because he took away his little cheat card device, and he was able to beat him at that card game, and sure enough, the Falcon was his. You know, another huge highlight for me was the rebellion on the mining planet. And I loved seeing Chewie rescue and help out a few fellow Wookiees who in turn help him and Han get the Croaxium on board the ship. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and the movie going all out on practical effects like costumes, makeup, and puppets and whatnot. Well done, Lucasfilm. Well done, Disney. That was great. That was a real treat to watch. To see these performers and actors in these costumes operating these puppets as these different creatures and aliens, that was a real hoot. That brought us back to the good old days of Star Wars, of practical effects, these puppets, you know, all of these creatures and whatnot, these different kinds of aliens. That felt like Star Wars to me. And I really enjoyed that. I love the practical effects aspect of it all. Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, I was convinced. I'm like, yep, this is Han Solo. He is not doing a Harrison Ford impression, and I was actually very much okay with that because I wanted to see his take on the character, and I think he did a pretty damn fine job. I mean, he had a few Harrison Ford mannerisms here and there, but he made it mostly his own, and I'm grateful for that. I thought he did a great job. I loved how he first met Chewbacca, and I loved how they finally revealed that Han can indeed speak Wookiee, but I think he understands it better than he speaks it, as we saw in the hilarious subtitles. So that was awesome. And, I also liked how this movie showed us what life was like from the perspective of a criminal, whether they were a smuggler, a scavenger, or like a crime lord like Dryden Voss. We get to see the point of view of the criminal element during the early days of the Galactic Empire. Like, I love how the opening caption read, "It is a lawless time," or something like that. And it made a lot of sense. Like, the galaxy is struggling to survive while dealing with the Empire and then dealing with each other. And it was really cool to see a story told from the point of view, from the eyes of an outlaw like Han or any of the other big characters as well. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. This wasn't a story where we had Jedi Knights fighting battle droids or fighting Sith and stormtroopers fighting rebel troopers. This wasn't about stealing the Death Star plans like in Rogue One. This was about pulling off different criminal heists and making a profit while trying to avoid dying in the process, So I liked how it was a high stakes Star Wars movie, but just the stakes were different. In this case, it was about successfully pulling off a criminal heist. It was like a great heist film in space, if that makes sense. But man, this was a fun movie, very fun movie. I definitely intend on seeing it again. It was very exciting. It had some great battle sequences. I loved, another thing that surprised me was the Enfys Nest character. I loved how it turned out to be this young woman who was leading a small rebel cell, of course, or they were implying they were going to become rebels. And Han already had his first taste of the rebellion by helping them get the Croaxium from Beckett, from Dryden, and giving it to them and whatnot. Warwick Davis making a cameo as one of the soldiers. That was awesome. And speaking of cameos, oh my God. I was expecting a cameo from maybe Boba Fett or Jabba the Hutt. In fact, when Dryden Voss mentioned earlier in the movie, well, we all answer to somebody, who I answer to, of course. And I thought, oh, okay, that's a Jabba the Hutt reference. He's referring to the Jabba the Hutt. I guess that's what he's talking about. But then instead I was like, oh. And then as the movie went along and we didn't see Jabba or Boba Fett, I'm like, oh, I guess neither one of them's making an appearance in this movie. And then when Kira calls somebody, at first I thought, that kind of looks like the Emperor's throne or his chair. But I'm like, no, not quite. And then as the voice spoke, I'm like, God, that sounds an awful lot like the actor who played Darth Maul in Clone Wars and Rebels. Like, the whole theater let out this audible gasp. We're all like, well, that was my reaction as he takes off the hood and there he is, that spiky son of a bitch. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is awesome. This has so much potential. Awesome storytelling that goes along with it, because who knows if Han will ever meet or know about Darth Maul in a future young Han Solo film, which I believe there are supposed to be more of. But it is the possibilities, the potential is extremely exciting. And I am very, very much looking forward to seeing what Lucasfilm with Disney does with it next. But in the meantime, Solo, A Star Wars Story is a very enjoyable film. I recommend it. I say see it. Go see it. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. If you're a fan of Star Wars, if you're a fan of Han Solo, if you're a fan of, fun, exciting space movies, movies. I think you're really going to enjoy yourself. Oh, and there's no post-credit scene in case you're wondering. I did not stick around for the very end. I just read an article online immediately as the credits started to roll. I pulled out my phone, and sure enough, no post-credit scene, so no need to stick around. But damn, what a fun movie. Well, what did you guys think of the movie? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it better than Last Jedi? Did you think this was a crappy film? Please leave your thoughts, opinions, and your feedback down below in the comments section. I'd love to hear from everybody. You may disagree with one another, of course. We are all entitled to our own opinions, and that's fine. Just please keep it civil and be respectful of one another's beliefs. Solo, a Star Wars story, is now playing in theaters. Tickets available now. See it. It's a fun movie. I think you'll enjoy yourselves. Have a great rest of the night, everybody, and of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.